All right, everyone, we need to talk about what's developing across the southern United States right now, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. What started as a concerning weather pattern has just been upgraded to a genuine threat that spans multiple states. We're looking at a slight risk designation for severe thunderstorms rolling through tomorrow, and when I say severe, I mean damaging winds and tornadoes are both on the table. This isn't your average spring system passing through. The atmospheric ingredients are lining up in a way that has my full attention, and by the end of this breakdown, you're going to understand exactly why I'm taking this so seriously. Let me walk you through what's happening in the atmosphere right now, because the data I'm seeing is pretty remarkable. Our CAPE values, that's the fuel that thunderstorms feed on, are absolutely skyrocketing over Texas as we move into tomorrow afternoon. I'm talking Central Time here, so adjust accordingly if you're in a different zone. What really stands out is how this energy doesn't just spike and fade. It maintains its intensity all the way to the Texas coast and pushes deep into Louisiana well after sunset tomorrow, continuing overnight into Sunday morning. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. But here's where it gets more interesting. The lower-level winds are about to become a major player in this event. As a low-pressure system develops and strengthens over the Arklatex region, we're going to see those winds really start cranking up. By tomorrow evening into Sunday morning, we're looking at some of the strongest wind fields this model has shown us in quite a while. This wind energy is going to drive a powerful line of storms from eastern Texas, sweeping across Louisiana and pushing into southern Mississippi. The wind signatures I'm seeing on these models are honestly the most impressive part of this whole setup. Tonight's action is already getting underway. Thunderstorms are firing up, and they're going to continue building until tomorrow morning. We're watching activity from Oklahoma down through southern Missouri, and believe it or not, even eastern Colorado is getting in on the action with some isolated cells. Now, when we look at the severity parameters, northern Texas is where we need to focus first. Those storm cells are going to be capable of producing hail, and I'm not talking about pea-sized stuff. The precipitation intensity showing up on radar is going to be extreme, with those deep reds and purples indicating incredibly heavy rainfall rates. There's also a legitimate risk for damaging winds as we push into tomorrow morning. Here's where the evolution of this system gets critical. Tomorrow afternoon, everything changes. All these individual storm clusters are going to organize into one cohesive line, and as that line marches eastward, it's going to do something meteorologically fascinating. Supercell thunderstorms are going to fire up just ahead of this main line, pulling moisture directly from the Gulf of Mexico. This is the classic setup for tornado development. Before the line catches up and the whole thing transitions into a straight-line wind event, we've got this window where rotating storms can develop and produce tornadoes. For Houston and the surrounding areas, I want you paying close attention tomorrow evening. The supercell environment ahead of the main line could produce some quick spin-up tornadoes. These won't necessarily be long-track monsters, but they can develop rapidly with minimal warning time. As evening approaches tomorrow, southeastern Texas becomes a focal point. Right in front of that advancing storm line, we're going to see additional cells developing. Now, I'm being honest with you. The hail cores in these particular cells aren't showing up as exceptionally strong on the current model run. What we're more likely dealing with are fast-developing circulation features that could spin up briefly before the entire system transitions into that linear wind-producing machine. Central and southern Arkansas, you're in for a rough night tomorrow. The storm line pushing through your area is going to pack a serious punch with widespread damaging winds. Down in Louisiana, the cellular structure appears weaker on this run, which actually shifts our concern more toward a significant squall line event. You know what a bow echo looks like on radar? That's what we could be dealing with here. And with bow echoes comes the possibility of QLCS tornadoes, those sneaky embedded circulations within the line itself that can touch down with very little advance notice. For New Orleans and Baton Rouge specifically, tomorrow night into early Sunday morning is your time frame. The line will be moving fast, but it's going to be intense while it's overhead. Wind gusts could easily hit 50 to 60 miles per hour in the strongest segments. Southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi, based on what I'm seeing right now, you're looking at less discrete storm activity and more of that linear wind event I keep mentioning. As we progress into Sunday morning, though, don't let your guard down. There's still potential for supercells to fire up over the Gulf and move onshore into the Florida Panhandle and southern Alabama. I'll have an updated analysis first thing tomorrow morning because these Gulf-borne supercells deserve close monitoring. Let's talk about wind threats specifically because this is probably the most widespread hazard. We're looking at a broad area where damaging winds of 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts are likely, with some locations potentially seeing 60 mile per hour winds embedded in the strongest storms. That's strong enough to snap tree limbs, take down power lines, and turn unsecured objects into dangerous projectiles. Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you're looking at strong to severe thunderstorms developing by late morning tomorrow, with the main line arriving in the afternoon. Secure anything in your yard that could become airborne. Hail is another piece of this puzzle we can't ignore. Starting tonight and continuing through the early morning hours across western Texas, hail-producing storms are going to develop. By tomorrow evening, the hail threat expands considerably. From Texas all the way across Louisiana, we're tracking the potential for significant hailstones to fall from these storms. The tornado risk has been upgraded, and this is significant. We now have a 5% tornado probability zone, marked in brown on the Outlook maps. Let me give you the cities and states that fall within this enhanced tornado risk for tomorrow. Portions of eastern Texas, including the greater Houston area, all of Louisiana, and extending into Mississippi. This isn't a guarantee that tornadoes will occur, but the atmospheric conditions are favorable enough that the Storm Prediction Center felt an upgrade was warranted. Oklahoma City and Tulsa, you're on the northern edge of this system. Expect strong thunderstorms with heavy rainfall and gusty winds, but your tornado threat appears lower than areas farther south. The damaging wind outlook has also been upgraded. We now have a 15% probability zone for significant damaging winds, with a 5% area extending farther west into Texas. Cities at highest risk include Houston, Beaumont, Lake Charles, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Jackson, and extending into southern portions of Memphis and Birmingham. Little Rock, you're right in the crosshairs for that secondary line of storms tomorrow evening. Expect frequent lightning, heavy rain that could create flash flooding concerns, and gusty winds. This event doesn't end on Saturday. We're tracking continued severe weather potential into Sunday, which is why I'll be back with a comprehensive morning update to give you the absolute latest information as the models continue to refine their forecasts. Let me break down the timeline in detail because knowing when to expect impacts is crucial for your safety planning. Tonight, western Oklahoma is already seeing storms develop. By the early morning hours, that's when we start seeing stronger hail cores forming within these cells before the entire complex shifts eastward. Around 4 to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, watch for powerful thunderstorms developing north of Midland, north of Abilene, and southwest of Wichita Falls. Wichita Falls and Abilene, be weather aware during the pre-dawn hours tomorrow. Strong storms with large hail and damaging winds are possible. As we move through later tomorrow morning, northern Texas and Oklahoma could experience a damaging wind event as these storms continue their progression. Then, the pattern shifts again as that second, more potent line of storms begins to organize tomorrow afternoon. By noon tomorrow, widespread thunderstorms will be ongoing across northern Texas, Oklahoma, and southern Missouri. But it's during the afternoon hours when things really intensify. The storm line consolidates, hail cores become more pronounced, and the damaging wind potential increases dramatically. From the Arklatex region straight through Arkansas, we're talking about a sustained, severe weather event throughout the afternoon hours. Springfield and Joplin, Missouri, you'll be dealing with this system tomorrow afternoon into evening. Primary threats are damaging winds and flash flooding from training thunderstorms. Around 8 p.m. tomorrow evening, we're still tracking a massive cluster of thunderstorms pushing through Arkansas and southern Missouri. Wind damage is possible, and the rainfall rates are going to be exceptional, creating flash flood concerns. But it's across Texas where the situation really escalates. At this hour, the cells directly ahead of the main line appear somewhat weak on this particular model run, but that main line behind them is showing impressive strength for both hail and damaging winds. This is critical because severe weather at night is inherently more dangerous. People are sleeping, visibility is zero, and warning lead times can be compressed. Jackson and Meridian, Mississippi, the early morning hours of Sunday are when you need to be alert. The line will be weakening somewhat by the time it reaches you, but damaging winds are still possible. Here's what's interesting. I'm not seeing a strong supercell signature ahead of the line as we get into the late night hours. This system is clearly transitioning more toward a widespread wind damage event once we get past 10 or 11 p.m. Farther north, though, it's a different story. Regular thunderstorms, not necessarily severe, will be pushing through Arkansas, Missouri, western Tennessee, and western Kentucky. These are going to be rainmakers, creating flooding concerns on roadways as the rainfall accumulates. Memphis and Nashville, you're on the northern fringe. Expect heavy rain and thunderstorms, with the primary concern being flash flooding rather than severe wind or tornadoes. But notice where the intensity remains concentrated: Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana from late tomorrow night into the early morning hours of Sunday. This is going to be a significant and powerful storm system moving through those areas. Let me give you my honest assessment of the tornado threat geography. I think the tornado potential is most significant across Texas. As we move into Louisiana and Mississippi, that threat appears to diminish, with the primary concern shifting to straight-line wind damage. However, and this is important, what we're seeing develop for Sunday could present additional severe weather concerns. This system has legs, and we need to continue monitoring it closely. Mobile and Pensacola, keep Sunday on your radar. If those Gulf-fired supercells develop as some models suggest, you could see tornado-warned storms during the day Sunday. This is a serious weather situation, but it's not one we need to panic about. We have advance warning, we have excellent forecast information, and we have time to prepare. That combination means we can keep everyone safe if we all take this seriously and act responsibly. I'll be back first thing tomorrow morning with a detailed update as the latest model data comes in overnight. We'll fine-tune these timing and location specifics so you know exactly when to expect impacts in your area. Stay weather aware, stay safe, and I'll see you in the morning with the latest information. This is a developing situation, and your safety is what matters most. Take care of yourselves and each other.